Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 358 of the MTGGoldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week. Kicking things off with the owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard. How are you this fine Monday, Richard?
Good morning, Seth. Just catching up to some new secret lair news that we got today.
Oh, secret lair alert. We'll get into that in a minute, though. We got another co-host in Krim. Good morning. How are you this beautiful Monday morning?
Amazing. I went and competed in my first ever One Piece TCG regionals event, and I went 5-3, barely missing day 2. Biggest event they've had ever. It was like 1,300 some people, so it was insane.
Wait, so you went and scrubbed out Krim?
No, I didn't scrub it. I went 5-3.
Not bad. That's not bad.
I placed like 370, right? First week, first time ever. You know, I held it down for the Goldfish crew. All right, I held it down. Which, by the way,
the One Piece team.
I like it, but hear me out. A lot of people, by the way, I didn't know that there was this much overlap. There were so many other Magic players that even recognized me. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't expect that here. So
did you farewell them into oblivion?
No, I tried. You know, they didn't let me play my Magic cards in the tournament. It was really weird.
Oh, so anyway, today we got an interesting episode. So we're kind of in this weird in-between space. We got Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoilers, but the set doesn't actually come out until tomorrow, digitally at least, the end of the week in paper. So we're going to do something a little different today, and we are going to tier list Universes Beyond, all the Universes Beyond IPs that have come to Magic so far. So we're going to dedicate pretty much the entire cast to that. And of course, we got a new secret lair, Universes Beyond to talk about, which is what kind of brought this up. But before we get into that, a couple of quick reminders. First, our show today is brought to you by Card Conduit, and Card Conduit is the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. If you ever get tired of all the hassles that go into buy listing your cards, Card Conduit lets you skip them with their curated service. You can send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use their sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. Either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results and a fast payment once your order is processed. And you can even get another 10% off by heading to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. Card Conduit, they're the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. And our show is also brought to you by Magic at Sea. And Magic at Sea is the ultimate way to play Magic the Gathering. You can join players from all around the world in this unique tournament on one of the most immersive cruise ships in the Caribbean. Featuring Commander in a sealed event, you'll have a chance to win prizes from a huge prize pool and make new friends, all while enjoying a 6-night Caribbean vacation. The ship sails on March 17th, 2024, and there's only limited space left. So make sure to check out magicatsea.net today for more details. So thank you to Magic at Sea for supporting the show. And let's talk some Universes Beyond. And Richard, we got a new secret lair drop today, showing off another surprise UB set. What secret lair is dropping next week?
All right, out of nowhere came Tomb Raider secret lair. So
off the top rope,
just literally, because they laid out Final Fantasy, they laid out all these things, and then all of a sudden, just Tomb Raider came up. So it's going to be 5 reprints, a treasure token, and a new card, Lara Croft. So the 5 reprints are Search for Azcanta, Anger of the Gods, Bow of Nylea, Shadow Spear, Academy Ruins, all reskinned in Universes Beyond, so they have their own names. And then a treasure token, and then Lara Croft is a new card. It's a green, blue, red Teamer 3/4 legendary creature, human ranger. So Lara is a human ranger. First strike reach. When she attacks, exile up to 1 target legendary artifact or legendary land card from your graveyard and put a discovery counter on it. You may play a card from exile with a discovery counter on it this turn. Raid at the end of combat on your turn. If you attacked this turn, create a treasure token.
So, okay. I mean, so the secret lair drop itself is fine. Like, I think, so Shadow Sphere is like a $20 card because that's really popular in Commander. Sees a little bit of modern play with Urza Saga. Academy Ruins still like $10. So just those 2 reprints, plus whatever Laura ends up being worth, I think value-wise, it's fine. I'm curious what you guys think of this style of Universes Beyond Secret Lair. In the past, we've had reskin secret layers. We'd have unique card secret layers. This one sort of like mixes it together. There's one unique card in a bunch of reprints. What do you think of that style, the kind of the hybrid model here? Could we see that more in the future? Is that a good way of doing it?
Well, just like the same problem I had, like, when Walking Dead got its secret layer, right? It was not the fact that, like, it was mostly the way that there were cards that were exclusive to the secret layer that you couldn't get anywhere else. Do we know if is like Lara Croft going to be on like a list or anything like that? Because if not, then I guess I have a problem with it, right? Because I think that there should be an easily accessible version of Lara Croft somehow, somewhere.
I think the default now is eventually a list version will come up. Wizard, I don't think has explicitly stated that, like for this one particularly, but for all the other secret layers, they've been doing that since Walking Dead, essentially.
I think that's a safe expectation. The last word we've gotten from Wizards is when they do these unique cards in secret layers, they will put them on the list. They haven't said anything differently, so I'm expecting that like a year from now or something, it'll show up on the list. So I'm not too worried about card availability. What do you think of the card itself? Like, I don't know. Is it so I'm not a huge Tomb Raider fan, so I've never really, I don't know the flavor aspect. Maybe it probably nails it flavor wise. Like usually they do get on that. What do you think about playing this card? Is this like an exciting of enough commander to get you to like buy the secret layer drop?
Nah.
I'm not a fan of.
So I know Seth is not a fan because he called her Laura. First of all, it's Lara.
It's Lara.
Okay. And I played the original Tomb Raiders back when we had like 3 pixels or 3 polygons. Worth
all
of Lara.
4 polygons.
Yeah, that was the good old days. And I played the remake. The remake was actually very good. I think they've done like 2 remakes or maybe even 3 now. But when the first remake came out, I played it. Exceptionally good. So this is a very good. I even watched the movie with Angelina Jolie and the new one. They also remade that movie too. So there's a lot of Tomb Raider. Having said that, this card does nothing for me. Like, I don't know, it doesn't really feel very Tomb Raider. Maybe I'm just a boomer, but for me, when I think Tomb Raider, I think dual wielding pistols and like a random T-Rex out of nowhere getting you. And yeah, I understand a lot of the game is like what Assassin's Creed used to be, like, exploring Indiana Jones type things, but I don't know, this just doesn't feel like it. I don't know why she's teamer. I guess if we had to think about it a while, we might come up with that, but I don't know, it's just
It has raid though, Richard, and it's Tomb Raider. See how they did that? They nailed it.
I hate it when they do these like low effort puns. It makes it feel like they don't know anything about the IP, and they're like Raider. Okay, she's a pirate. Okay, raid mechanic. We're gonna get to it, but Stranger Things. Oh my goodness, L. Oh, I remember this. We'll rip into that when we get there.
So what do you think, Grim?
Okay, so if we're taking away the fact that, if there's an easily accessible version of it, or some way to get this mechanic specific card, then looking at it as a card, much like, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan either, Seth. So, I mean, we're on the same boat here. I think the games just weren't that fun to me growing up. They just didn't catch my eye. And the movies weren't even that fun either. Or I did watch the Angelina Jolie one. I didn't care to go watch the remake. It was just it was cool to see like everyone get excited for it, but just not my jam personally.
So I'm not gonna rank it based on the movies. Apparently, I don't even know her name. But as a Magic card, it's kind of just dull, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine, but it doesn't have anything that makes me like really want to build a deck around it. So I don't know. I think for me, it's a miss from a Magic perspective, even though I don't know. If you're a huge Tomb Raider fan, I think that's awesome, but I couldn't really see myself building a commander deck around it. Like, I guess it's got a little legendary sub theme, but we have so many legendary matters commanders now. It's hard for me to think Lara Croft, whatever it is actually gonna beat out the other ones. But now we got to rank these cards. The main topic of our cast today is tier ranking all these Universes Beyond cards. So let's say we're going from what? S down to D. Where would this fall, Richard? Did this actually
what
make
is our
tier
arbitrary
list,
ranking system? So is it a pure what IP we like the most? How well the cards look, value perspective? What are we using to rank these cards? Or how well they play, like power level of the cards? Whatever we feel like it.
whatever it means
Whatever
to
we
you.
feel like. Okay, all right.
Okay. I'm gonna put this at B. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. I like the mix of reprints and the one new card. The art is not bad on some of these cards. I believe this is actually going after the latest movie, if I look at all this art here and what's going on. But yeah, I would just give it like a solid average, like maybe slightly above average, depending on where the rest of them lie. But this is not like I must buy. This is not, it's gonna break modern or something. It's just like, solid average for me.
I'd probably be like, B to C, like low average, like maybe like B to like a little bit below. I don't think it's a disaster or anything. I do like the good reprints in it, but it's kind of just like meh.
Are the reprint? I mean, like, I'd give it like a C generously, to be honest with you.
Okay,
like maybe even more of a D.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll average it down
let's
to
go
C.
C.
We'll
C
average
averages it
down to
out.
C. I believe the nerd nostalgia will work here. I believe Lara Croft was the first digital crush of many of our boomers. I had a Lara Croft.
I think it's true.
So we'll see how hard the nostalgia hits. So let's go through Universes Beyond. We'll try to go through based on release, if I can remember the exact order. But we'll start with Walking Dead. Now, Walking Dead was the thing that kicked it off. Mechanically unique cards, one of which was very good in Legacy. Old, washed up IP at the time. I think they've since then released another season of Walking Dead. I don't know how relevant this IP is, but where do you guys put Walking Dead? And they've reprinted the cards in the list since then, right? But at the time, they did not. It was a big outrage, and this caused Universes Beyond to go onto the list as Magic variants.
So when I was thinking about doing this episode in tier listing Universes Beyond, my criteria for like laying it out was you would rank them from Lord of the Rings to Walking Dead, with Walking Dead being like the bottom.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, this is the hard D, like a hard D. It was 5 years past its prime. They didn't have a plan for reprinting the cards. It was expensive. Like there was this actually, I think, really hurt Secret Layers and Universes Beyond because it was such a horribly received release at the time that it tainted people's perception of the entire product line for like 6 months. So I see this as unmitigated disaster in every way, like as low as a Universes Beyond can get.
This is the one that you just like. I mean, I guess again, this is where the metric, like how we grade this, is a little like a little arbitrary and definitely a little
Definitely.
wild. But I personally think even if it was past its prime, the cultural phenomenon that it was and the footprint that it left behind and what it did for just like a comic book to like hit at that time, hit that well and be like the #1 TV series, also to like kind of unfortunately or fortunately for some spawn so many like zombie like fan fests and all this other stuff. Like I as a fan of all of that myself, I liked it. It spawned its own cons, and even if it went past its prime, it did a lot for us, like for a lot of the genre. And then on top of that, as a comic book fan who read it, and then on top of that, the Magic cards were also good. Oh, okay. Sorry, let me restate. Rick was really good, and I like
Rick. Was the One Ring.
Yeah, Rick was the One Ring. I think, dude, come on. I think this was like a B if we're going by those metrics, an F if we're going by the way they were going by like the availability of the cards. So where does that put that? Because again,
okay, I will.
What do you think,
Richard? So if Walking Dead was released today, it would not have received the same backlash. It took the brunt of criticism because it was the first Universes Beyond, but it had a good card in Rick. It's actually more flavor like in world for Magic with all the zombies than like some of these other IPs we're going to talk about.
That's true.
And like Walking Dead was popular at some point. Like maybe it is washed, but some of these IPs like wish they were like they met the wash status of Walking Dead, right? So I would say it's up there. I think what tainted it was the fact that it was the first Universes Beyond. People hated it. The fact that you couldn't get the reprinted like you couldn't get the Magic in Universe versions outside of Secret Lair. But without it, we wouldn't have all these other universes beyond. So some people might just rip it for that, but there is some merit to being the first one. And I will say, outside the Magic community, people love this. They loved it so much that Wizards kept doing it, right? Like this was one of those things where the entrenched crowd hated it, but apparently someone somewhere out there loved it, and enough such that Wizards kept doing it. So it gets a lot more hate than it should. And also Rick.
Yeah.
Playable.
So good.
That was like the
Commander
one
playable.
decent card. The one
He's
decent
not even
card.
good. He's like
you're gonna find a
really
hard time
good.
naming decent cards in these IPs for you.
All right. Well, okay. So where are we gonna put it then? C?
I think it's fine at B.
I think
right?
B is fine. I think we're gonna override you, Seth.
All right. That's fair. I got to speak my piece, so that's good enough.
Okay. So after Walking Dead was Stranger Things, I believe. Was that the correct order?
No. Was that the order? Okay, I don't remember the order.
Okay.
So the ones I listed should be in chronological order, although we have those like 3 random ones at the bottom that are not on the list. So
okay, we'll try to slot them. But Stranger Things came up after this. I'll start with this one. I'm gonna give this a solid D. I felt whoever made the Secret Lair didn't watch the show. Like I remember, was it 11? There was something where they just used the pun of her name as like the mechanic, and I'm like, what?
Your max hand size is 11.
Yeah, I'm like, what is
11,
this? And like, it was very. It's like one of those Doctor Who things where, like, yes, it could be fantasy, but it doesn't feel like it fits into the fantasy world, because at the end of the day, you're just playing with a bunch of children. Like, it's weird, right? Like, you're like, oh yes, I just have a bunch of like 5, whatever, like 8 years old or whatever, 10 years old during the thing. We're just playing with a bunch of 10-year-old kids, so the cards are just like a bunch of kids. So it's weird. And then the other part of the flavor is the D&D part, which is its own universe. So I don't know. I didn't like Stranger Things. I thought it was weird. They tied it with the new season. It made me watch Stranger Things. I actually liked Stranger Things when I watched it, but I felt it didn't belong. I felt the cards were kind of weird, and yeah, I don't know if anyone likes the cards or Friends Forever too. The new mechanic as well, just for no reason, just to mess everyone up.
It's very forgettable for me. So I liked, as far as actual IP, I watched like the first 2 or 3 seasons and liked them. But then it's really tough when you have shows with kids because they grow up and it just gets weird. So I like the first few seasons, but then it kind of lost my interest. Maybe the more recent ones are really good. People have told me they're really good. I just haven't got to watching them. But Magic wise, it's just forgettable, right? Like I couldn't tell you the text on any of these cards. I never see anyone play them. So I don't know. I would probably put it as like, I don't know if I'd be as harsh as Richard going with the full on D, but it's probably like a C for me. It's just like, man, cards aren't that exciting. The IP's okay, but not something I'm really passionate about. So below average.
I love this IP so much because I love the series. I mean, season 2 is a little whack, but like everything after that and season 1, phenomenal, right? It's like a more scary ET. Right, it's a little scarier ET, right? Let's call it that. But so I love the IP. I really do. I cannot wait for how to see how it comes to a close this year. But I think the cards, I agree with Richard in that the cards kind of felt like a miss, dude. I really thought all these characters, like Jim was kind of like boring. I liked the Mind Flayer. That was the only thing I liked from this. I thought it was very flavorful. I thought it was a cool card. I love how it's literally printed upside down with a right side up magic back, because that confuses me every time when I look at my deck and I go, all right, is everything right side up? Oh, no, wait. It's this guy. All right. But other than that, I think the cards just kind of missed for me and how they mechanically worked. And then how they are in the show. However, I love the IP to death. So I'm going to give this maybe not as harsh. Actually, no, this is about a D. It misses.
Let's
it misses.
All right.
Let's D
It
it.
misses.
Okay. Arcane. Can we put this on a scale of disappointment? Like, what could have been here?
I think you're right.
You guys love
This
this
is, like,
IP,
worst.
right? Both of you
love
this
this
IP.
IP.
But you
It
were
was
both very
timed
critical of the
correctly.
secret lair drop. Yeah,
was,
you were
like,
very critical.
Garbage screen caps, like just
Yeah.
like I don't know. They just needed to give me like a zoomed in Vi or zoomed in Jinx, and like we'd be all over that. But it's like you screen caps, and not
Technically,
only that,
they
but
did give you a zoomed in Vi. It just was round 2. You know
and
that
then
card.
it's just like bad cards reskinned too. Like I would like to see
Yeah.
mechanically unique cards. So maybe it's a little harsh to give it a D, but it's just the disappointment. This was like one of the biggest letdown secret layers, and this is why I am afraid of Final Fantasy. I'm afraid of getting my hopes up and having it be arcade. This is what I'm afraid of.
I think being a full like tentpole release, I don't think you got to worry about it. I think there's a huge difference between like a 5-card secret lair, 7-card secret lair, and like a huge tentpole release. For me,
it's a tentpole release, and you see Cloud's foot.
Yeah. The cards are just kind of disappointing. Like I've never watched Arcane, but like basically they sold you a Ristic study, right? Like that was the one like somewhat meaningful card is you get to get a reskin Ristic study. Everything else is just like kind of unplayable or not very strong at least. So I don't know. I don't like it from a Magic perspective.
They also do the bad thing where they're like Arcane lands and it's basics of like random scenery that you can't even tell. Like you like I bet you even the most hardcore like Arcane fans cannot pick out that it's Arcane. They should have just given me Summoner's Rift. Like,
That's not calling you out, by the way, hardcore Arcane fans. We believe you. We believe you. We know.
just a literal screenshot of League of Legends, I think would sell me on the lands, but it's like I don't know. Like I think the lands releases with the secret lairs are also incredibly lazy. Like they got to be actually unique and do something rather than just be like generic art lands. And if you squint carefully, you'll recognize it's a place in the lore.
Okay, this is funny because like I despise League of Legends. I will never play League of Legends, right? But I everything I know about this world is from Arcane, TFT, the world around League of Legends. So, but I love this show. Love this. And I think you should watch this. I think you'd really like it. But it's so bad. Like Counterflux is literally like I like Richard mentioned, you have to squint really hard and you can see that maybe somebody's falling, I think. Like Jace is one of the characters' names, right? You could literally just have him a reskin as Jace. It's right there, right? Like it's literally free. And the only one that I thought was cool, like even the Ristic studies, the unstable harmonics looks terrible. It's like them kind of floating and one of them is like half in the shot.
Yeah.
So I think this is like if Stranger Things is a D, this is definitely going to be the lowest, the worst secret layer, in my opinion. And I love the duress, but it's so bad. Everything else is just meh. So yeah, this is the worst secret layer in my opinion.
Okay.
Ooh.
So not technically secret. I'm pretty sure we like Godzilla happened somewhere in here. So Godzilla cards were reskinned Ikoria cards, and this was the fixed Universes Beyond, right? Where you had even cards that didn't exist, like Zalortha. Godzilla itself was Zalortha. Zalortha card didn't even exist at that time. They're just like, don't worry, there's a magic card for this in the future. But Godzilla was part of Ikoria set. What do we think of Godzilla?
So technically we did get the Godzilla lands.
We got Godzilla lands at some point, and then I think we got Zalortha at some point on the list as well.
So this in execution was great because I guess you could get it and you can get a normal version and it was easily accessible, at least when it comes to release.
Yep.
But I think a lot of the cards otherwise, this is kind of weird. This is one of the ones where I kind of felt like it was super lackluster because it wasn't unique cards. I think because I was already kind of in the like they already had it going that we were going to get some unique cards. We had seen a few unique secret layers between Stranger Things, all that, yada yada yada, right? But I was a little bit sad about that. But
they
overall,
I'm very confused. Like, what do you mean?
What? How? No, because like they didn't make. They made. Oh wait, hold on. They were new cards. They were new cards.
They were all
cards.
They were all cards from Ikoria that got the Godzilla art.
I
name
see. So
change.
Godzilla himself was new at the time, but because there was no Zalortha, right? Godzilla.
Right, it was a
actually
buy
new.
a box promo, yeah.
Yeah, and then every other card there was a reskin of an existing card
Yeah.
in Ikoria with the
Yeah,
with
like
the art.
Mecha
Yeah.
Godzilla is Hangerback Walker, right?
Yep.
So I was actually kind of let down by that, just because I don't know. I mean, I thought you fully commit, right? Why wouldn't you? Why you?
Well,
I don't know how
this
I
was the
felt
early
about it
days.
being-
They weren't ready to go all in yet.
I mean, I kind of like it. I think that this was one where the flavor kind of fit pretty well because Ikoria's whole thing was like these mutating monsters and so forth. So Godzilla was kind of a natural fit. We saw like what they throw Transformers and Brothers War, and it was like kind of awkward because it kind of like didn't fit with the rest of the set. But I thought in this case, kind of like Jurassic Park in Ixalan, I think it kind of fits the mutating monster theme. So I actually think like it's not insane. As Krim said, it's not like there's any like super flashy new card. It's all just reskins, but I would give it a solid B. Like I think this is like a very decent release, and it did solve a lot of issues people had with the like exclusive cards from Walking Dead. So I think there were some positives to come out of it.
I think at that time I was just let down, right? Because I was expecting something exclusive that wasn't like, a reskin.
Yeah.
So I back then I would have probably given it a D, but currently, as it stands and looking back on it, I'd probably give it a C because yeah, it's still pretty cool. I'm also not a huge fan of Godzilla myself. I mean, I am like in that the fan that I enjoy the movies. I had the toys as a kid, but like I don't know. I give it a C. It's just something about Godzilla as a franchise has been okay to me.
Yeah,
It's okay to me.
I think I give it somewhere between a B and a C. It didn't meet my expectation. So my expectation is Godzilla fighting Emrakul. Godzilla fighting like that's literally the thing of Godzilla, right? He like just shows up and starts beating like some like crazy monster. So like that's what I'm really expecting to see. So just like hanging around other dinosaurs or whatever, like, I don't know, like that's not really what I want. So yeah, somewhere B or C. So since Krim gave it a C, we'll bump it down to the C tier. This is a weird looking list here. Who would have thought Walking Dead would be leading the charge here? But here we are.
Hey, they're the
Seriously.
first. They're the first.
Okay, Street Fighter cards. So Street Fighter, mechanically unique. They've since then reprinted it. Trying to remember what cards. There were like 6 cards.
You had E Honda.
6
you
cards
had
plus
Ryu,
Chun-Li,
8 cards
Ken,
plus
Blanca,
Chun-Li.
Yeah,
Zangief,
8 cards plus
Ryu,
Yeah, there's
Ken,
8 cards.
Dulcim, yeah. I mean, so this was like the ultimate nostalgia drop, right? I think like so many people that play Magic now grew up playing Street Fighter that it's like a pretty easy win from that perspective. Like there's a lot of people that have fond memories of, even I have fond memories of like playing Street Fighter as a kid with friends and stuff. The cards themselves, I think like did a good job of representing the characters without being broken. Although honestly, I still don't see that much. Have you ever seen these? I feel like every time we talk about these secret
have.
lair drops,
Oh my god!
like
I got wrecked.
Oh,
by
I
Blanca.
definitely have.
Did you?
Blanca's a
Okay.
storm deck. I'll let you know that.
I've definitely played against Zangief. My buddy Joe Johnson, Black Nito, he's got a Zangief deck, and then I've seen Chun-Li out there tons of times as a control deck. Like the funny thing is, like this is so funny. You played this growing up, right, Seth?
Yeah, I played Street Fighter.
This, and you did too, Richard. This is the IP that I actually very casually played, but not even like to where I was like cognizant of like what I was doing. I literally just rolled my hand across
Button mashing,
like the
yeah.
button masher.
That's the way to do it.
And I wasn't like super into this until like I guess like actually as you listen to this by this week I'm in a Capcom tournament and I have to play Street Fighter and I have to get good in a week. I'm learning I'm very bad at fighting games, but I do like this as an IP. I think the beauty in this is that they changed the untap or the tap symbol to the quarter circle like mark or the way they look on the tap symbol and all of that. So they made it feel very flavorful and all the cards hit like exactly like how I imagine the characters hitting. So from a flavor perspective, also I feel like this is when Secret Lair perfectly hit its stride with availability. So I think that they did its release solid. I think the IP is solid. So and oftentimes everybody tells me the same thing. Why don't you play fighting games? They're kind of like card games. Because you do outplay your opponent, you do a lot of these things, and they line up. Like I thought it was kind of weird until I actually started playing it this week, like legitimately. And I'm like, oh, I see the comparisons now. And so I think this actually is an A I think this was like they nailed this from a flavor, a release, like an IP, everything about it. I give this an A.
What do you think, Richard? I'm kind of in the like B-ish range, I think, where like I like the nostalgia.
Hadouken was lightning
It's just
bolt.
like such iconic property. The cards themselves, though, bring it down a little bit for me. Like, I think I just haven't seen them be that playable as Magic cards, but I do think it's like a good IP.
Yo, Seth, have you gotten erased by a Blanca yet? Because a Blanca
Nope.
deck is like will erase you, dude. Like, I'm not joking. Like,
These cards
it's
are
not
good.
close.
Yeah,
man.
I'm actually debating whether I should put this in S tier or not. Like, I don't know what more you want out of a secret lair. Like, unlike Arcane and Stranger Things, you can tell whoever designed this loved Street Fighter and thought about like the fact that the fireball, like they've used the untap symbol to just emulate the motion of fireball. That fireball is lightning bolt, multi-kicker Chun-Li, not just a word pun, but actually how you play the game, right? Like you spam the mana symbol, like you spam the button. So it's not just weird cheap puns, it's actually very flavorful. The art is good. Like each character is taking up the entirety of the frame.
Yep.
Cards are aggressively costed to be playable. I want to put this up with Lord of the Rings. Spoiler alert.
All right.
I don't.
Hey.
It's close.
Yeah, actually,
I don't think we can give it
I
an S tier. We can't give
well,
it an
what
S
is
tier,
what is an
can we?
S? What is an S if not that though? Richard has a
Oh.
point. Like maybe it is an S because I had it an A, but like
So
maybe it's an S.
I mean, I think S
gonna
is
be
Lord of the
hard
Rings. I
for
think
me to
before
give-
we.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard for me to give a secret lair drop an S tier because there's just like doing it for 10 cards is a lot different than doing it for 200, 400, like a full tempo release. So I think it's probably the
But
best
why
secret
is
lair
that?
universe
Why is-
beyond, but I don't think that holds up to the. You just don't
But it
develop
hits
as
all
much
the
of the
check
world,
marks.
right?
But it hits all the check marks, right? Like, okay, let's ignore the card number, right, of how many are in the set. This does hit all the boxes and does it well.
Like if Final
that-
Fantasy was this, I would be very pleased.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
like I think this is actually the best you can do for a 10, an 8-card secret lair plus bonus card.
This
Well,
is the
maybe it
template.
is. Maybe it is.
Relevant
the template.
IP too. It's relevant IP and it's also gamer. Okay, here's the thing. It does not fit in the world of Magic whatsoever, does it?
No, it doesn't.
A
If there's any place that
look. In the year of multiverses, I
but
don't
that-
think that.
But then you
I
can say
don't-
everything fit. Then that's like not even
Yeah,
a criteria, right? Like,
Yeah, see,
that still has
that's
to
not a
matter. That has
That's
to
not
matter
even
to
a
some
criteria I
extent.
judge on. Are you kidding me?
I do.
I could see like Blanca throwing hands with Urza. Look, all right. I mean, I can now, but okay, that's a reach. But in reality, I do think that in the year of multiverses, it's not. I'm not judging it if I could see it in Magic or not anymore because multiverses make everything possible, and so it's just not outlandish to me at all.
Okay, let's keep it as A with the possibility of S.
I think it's an
Seth,
S.
Seth is
Okay.
pulling it down
S.
though. Even if we double S it, Seth is pulling it down with his B. So, but it's up there. I think this is the best
good.
secret lair thing you could be doing. Okay. Fortnite. Here we go. Any zoomers? Where are we at? Are we going straight to D to appease the crowd? How do we feel about Fortnite?
Okay, I'm gonna argue for this one. I don't really care about Fortnite, but I've told this story before. My little nephew is like 10 years old. He loves Fortnite. It's like very much the younger generation thing. And this was actually a door for me to talk to him about Magic. Like, look at these Fortnite cards. They're coming to Magic. And that was like actually a very positive thing. And I could see what I think Wizards is trying to do with these universes beyond in action in my own life. That was like a case where I could like use this as a way to bring him into the game. So I think this is very much not for us. It's very much not for me. Like, I don't think it's for our generation. This is for the 14-year-olds, the 15-year-olds. That's who this is aimed at. So I think it's going to be hard for me to judge unbiasedly because for me it's a D. Like, I just don't care. It's silly and goofy. But if you're 18 or something, this might be an S tier secret lair drop. So I think for me, I'd put it in the middle. Maybe that's a cop out just to take the easy
Wait,
road.
giving it
out.
a B all the way up.
I mean, maybe a C, but still, like, I don't think this is like, I can see the merits to it. I know people think of it as the worst secret lair of all time. I don't think that's quite fair.
What's funny is I technically played Fortnite when it first came out, before it was a battle royale, when it was just you build up some walls and you try to stop zombies from coming in, cartoonish zombies. But I think that this as a set reprint wise, it hits, right? Like I think I like a lot of the reprints. At least Crack the Vault, Grim Tutor, all of that, and Triumph of the Hordes at that time was still expensive, right? So I like it as a reprint. It's not for me either. I don't like Fortnite. I don't care for the game. But at the same time, I can kind of see what Seth's talking about, and that this is something where like, hey, Fortnite players will be like, oh, this is cool, right? Like, and all of that. So it has the appeal there. The problem here is I can't tell you like how the flavor of this is in game versus like, Magic card, right? Like, is this dance battle exactly, like how it, like I don't know how the flavor of any of these are. So I am not qualified in giving you the flavor of this. So I'm just going to say this definitely makes a good chunk of people happy, of the Zoomers happy. So I'd probably give it a B. Most people that I know, everyone that I know that plays Fortnite liked it and bought it. At least, because then, and like you had mentioned, it was something I could talk to them about. It's like, yo, I will never play with you because I suck at this game probably, but yo, check it out, there's a Magic card, and then they'd be like, oh, cool. So it was a cool conversation to have with friends, but not my kind of thing. So not for me, but I'd probably give it a B.
Richard,
behind Walking Dead.
Okay,
I think the cards actually suck. Okay, so Triumph of the Horde, but then the rest of the cards are like, okay, Grim. Like, who's gonna play Grim Tutor?
Grim Tutor, I don't like. But
Spell Bomb,
hey,
Pirate Spell Bomb, Planar Bridge, Smuggler's Copter. Like, if we were to get people to play Magic, I don't know that this was the card. These are the cards that do it. What's preventing this from being a D for me is at least Wizards is trying. They're trying to get the Zoomers. We need Zoomers. Even if you hate them, we need them to like lower the price of everything for us.
About blood moons.
No, we need Wizards to take all their money instead of our money, okay? I'm trying to save for retirement here. The Zoomers, they're already in so much debt, whatever.
Don't
take
take
more
from
money.
us, the enfranchised boomers.
And the cards are very Fortnite-y. Like, you look at them, you're like, yes, it feels like Fortnite versus some of these other Secret Lairs. You're like, I don't know what it is. So, better card selection, I think, would have done it. And maybe if we actually didn't viscerally hate Fortnite for something, like, I don't know why we hate Fortnite. Like, I understand you don't like Fortnite, but why do we have to go out of our way to hate it? But that's what us Magic boomers do.
It's just the generational gap.
You think of the cringy dancing that like a middle school kid would do after the most random thing, like, yo, I threw my trash away, time to dance. It's like, okay, dude, you got it. But like,
what's wrong with that? They're kids.
I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Like, that's dope if you want to do that. Like, I don't go out of my way to hate it though. I just don't care.
All right, two B's and a C. I'll put it.
It's behind Walking Dead though. There's no way that's better than Walking Dead.
Warhammer 40K. Here we go. Where do we put Warhammer 40K?
This is the secret lair. Not the secret lair. The Universes Beyond that really won me over to Universes Beyond. Like, sure, there's still things I like and dislike, but this was the one. I care nothing about Warhammer. They released these decks. The decks were really good. They all had unique art. Like, I was just blown away at how well the decks were constructed. And it kind of like fit more in Magic than I would have expected. Just like looking at the cards, they weren't like super far out. They actually fit flavor wise, I thought, in general with Magic. So this one for me is one of the best Universes Beyond releases that they've ever done. I would put this up in the Street Fighter tier. I don't think I can give it an S, but I would give it a very solid A. Like, I think this is one of the best releases they've done so far.
I just don't understand how this is okay. After like talking about it with Richard and Street Fighter, I think Street Fighter is being snubbed here by one person. Won't point out who. But
just because you're a Street Fighter player now with your Street Fighter tournament with Justin Wong,
I don't even play Warhammer, but I think this is an S. How is this not an S? This is okay. It even goes above and beyond, right? You're worried about it fitting in the world. It literally fits in the world, right? It's right there. I think that there is a secret layer that fits in this world. It's Warhammer. It has all the cards you like. The cards are good, and on top of that, like, again, it fits everything. It just makes sense. You literally see it in every LGS when you go. When I'm sitting there playing my Magic tournaments, whatever card game, what's on the other side? a bunch of Warhammer players and armies and all of that. This fits.
Maybe,
this fits, dude.
maybe I'm too stingy
is an
with
F.
S's. I think there's one IP I think is like S tier, and it's hard for me to put any other one on that same level. But maybe I'm just being too stingy. Maybe there's multiple S's here.
Corrupted by Bowmasters and the One Ring. If those cards didn't exist.
I think that's going to be the easiest S ever, right? Lord of the Rings, right? Because it literally is the progenitor of a lot of things. But like, if you look at Street Fighter and Warhammer, is this not the template? If I told you that from here on out, if you had to choose a few sets from here to have to be the model for every secret layer moving forward, you would choose Warhammer and or Street Fighter, right? Maybe it sounds silly to say that, but like when. Right?
Yeah,
like
I mean,
you would,
I guess if you look at it this way, okay, so if you look at it as tentpole set release, I want them to be like Lord of the Rings. Commander deck releases, I want them to be like Warhammer. Secret layers, I want them to be like Street Fighter. Maybe those are all three S's when you think of it from that perspective. They're just like doing things in a different way, but those are, I think, the best examples of what Universes Beyond can be for like how they release them. So maybe, okay, I'll come around to S. I'll come around to S. Like that's
A
fine.
is suddenly empty.
Or
oh no. There's I'll show you what A look. I have some that I think that are a solid A.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up. So I think Warhammer is really good. The lesson here is we like power. Like Lord of the Rings, very powerful set. Warhammer, very powerful.
Flavor,
set.
power.
Yeah, and then flavorful. Like I agree with Krim. Like I never played Warhammer, but you always know about Warhammer because that's the other half of the LGS. It fits somehow like really into the universe. Like I didn't look at the cards and felt they were out of place. And the fact that all the reprints had their own Warhammer treatment, I think that is, they started out with this, and that's kind of set the bar going forward. So yeah, I think Warhammer deserves to be up here. All right, Transformers. Brothers War, collector boosters. They added Transformers, mechanically unique, cartoony screenshots. Maybe did we determine if they were literally from the cartoon? They possibly would have literally been from the cartoon.
Yeah, some of them. I think some of them were. Yeah. I know for sure. Ravager and Laserbeak were. Those are definitely from a cartoon.
All right, for you power aficionados, Slicer, Slice. CDH playable.
Slicer's good.
And then we also had like some random promos. Like I think we had some silver bordered Grimlock or something, I think at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe Optimus. I forgot. We had some promo Transformers at some point.
From HasbroCon, I think.
But this is the Dominaria set here. What do we think about these Transformers?
I feel like I think of this kind of how you guys think of Arcane, where like it's a little disappointing. Transformers is such an iconic, nostalgic IP, and I feel like it just wasn't, I don't know. I don't feel like it lived up to its potential, partly because of how they released it in the Brothers War collector boosters rather than in another way that kind of muddled the flavor of a lot of things and was awkward and limited and so forth. But I think like it should have been better than it was. Like you have this great IP that so many people like have fond memories of. And outside of Slicer, it's a lot of forgettable cards released in a way that a lot of people didn't like. So for me, I think it should have been better than it was. I don't think it's a bad secret layer drop, but because of those issues, I'd probably put it more in like the B range when I think it should have been in A or an S. Like I think Transformers is that level of IP that it should have been up there, but it's not.
It's so funny to me because like I think I don't see. I'll even go off the secret layers, right? I'll judge it by the secret layers. I think that they did a good job making Megatron Blightsteel. And since Optimus sucks, even in the show, like he's out there throwing inspirational quotes. Don't get me wrong.
Wow.
But he's always getting dumpstered, right? Like he's always getting dumpstered.
He's a true leader, sacking himself for the for the team.
But just like the counterpart of Darksteel and Blightsteel, you know, I see the power level and why they match. I think that Slicer obviously good. I think this is, I don't know. I mean, I like the release of this. I thought this was a solid B, maybe even like an A, low A, but like it hits on all fronts for me in that like it had the fun power level. It was original. The art wasn't like terrible off-screen things for me. So like seeing the Decepticons and all the Autobots on there, they functionally worked like how, like, dude, I thought Soundwave was great. I'm a fanboy of Soundwave, obviously. But I don't know. I think this is another one that did a good job. I think the problem I had would be in the power level department. That's where I have my issues here. Yes, I know we memed on it for being awful, right? And then Slicer kicked our teeth in. But outside of Slicer, I think a majority of them are kind of bad, right? Like
Yep.
I think Soundwave works the way I would imagine a Soundwave working. Like I like it flavorfully and all of that too. But that's why this is not an S, and it is that it kind of sucks power-wise. But if I like Transformers, I'm going to have a grand old time. So, and you know what? Every version of Optimus has sucked in this game as well. So why not, right? But yeah, I think this is like a low A, like barely maybe peeking its head into A, but probably a high B. Like I think this, for me, hits more checkboxes than Walking Dead does, even though Walking Dead did have Rick.
Yeah. I mean, Slicer, but
Yeah.
I'm a big Transformers
Yeah,
fan.
sure.
After this was announced, I just bought Transformers, like literally the toys, and I didn't bother buying the cards. Like, oh yes, Transformers, yeah. The cards are kind of forgettable, and it's really hard to build a Transformers. Like, they don't really synergize with each other. It's like all over the place. They're like, vehicles are hard to use. Double face cards, like I don't want. So it was just kind of like meh. So even though I was a huge fan of Transformers, you know, the IP, like this actually did nothing for me. It didn't bring the soul crushing disappointment of Arcane, but it was just like, eh. And to this day, I own 0 Transformer cards, but I got a lot of toys because of this release. So in the end, Hasbro made money because I bought the Hasbro Transformers card toys. So it was fine. It was fine. Oh, Lord of the Rings. It's Lord of the Rings. We've reached it. We've reached it. No questions asked. S.
I mean,
It's
the
S,
best,
right? Like we don't need to talk about it, right?
Yeah,
like it's the progenitor of everything.
There's really nothing. Yeah, there's nothing to say. It is the perfect Universes Beyond. I don't even know if they can top it in the future. Like it might be the perfect one 10 years from now too. Like that's how good it was.
Also, two out of the three of us don't even like I
don't even like Lord of the Rings, but this.
Yeah, I don't even like it. I'm just like, word. I respect
the thing that invented the whole genre, the game that you play and love. You're like, oh, Shivin' Dragon. Well, let me tell you, my friend.
Do you like the Beatles? Do you like the Beatles?
Yes, actually.
Okay, well, I don't.
What, really?
But I appreciate what they've done. Right? They are huge. For what
you can respect their contributions without actually liking them. That's kind of where I'm at with with Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Oh God, did I just get in hot water for saying I don't like the Beatles or something like that?
No, I think
Optimus sucks. Lord of the Rings sucks. The Beatles sucks.
In context of the show, Optimus does suck. He literally gets dumpstered by everything.
That's a true leader, Krim. One day.
Oh my God. Okay, all right. You just gotta learn how to lose.
Takes all the glory. Someone does something, then he just like steals the spotlight. He's like, "You're useless. I'll kill you." Speaking of
that's a leader
things, right off of Lord of the Rings, we forgot about Dungeons and Dragons. I think Dungeons and Dragons happened somewhere in here. No.
Yeah.
So where does
which part of D&D?
So
which
part
of
it's got to
be
Baldur's Gate? What else is there?
There's Commander Legends, Baldur's Gate,
Yeah.
and then also Adventures in Forgotten Realm, Baldur's Gate. So there's both. There's the standard one and the Commander
There's
one.
the movie.
Yeah.
There's the movie also.
Wait,
right?
Well, I mean,
the secret layer.
Oh, you're talking about the IP in
secret
general.
layer.
Wait, what? There was a movie.
Yeah, the one that's how we got Thunderchot, or I was going to say Thunder, different word, but that I don't know if that's family friendly because I don't remember what it's called.
So
you're right.
Technically,
Honor Among Thieves. That was a good movie, by the way.
It was a good movie. I agree. It's unfortunate it came after the Avengers because it felt like literally carbon copy of the Avengers. But yeah, like I think this is a whole like, look, do I regret saying that, you know, maybe Baldur's Gate was a bust of a set? Maybe a little bit. I just didn't fully get to appreciate it. But I will say that looking back now, Baldur's Gate was a good set. And a lot of the cards, I think that I think they're flavorfully
You're talking about
correct.
AFR,
I mean, I don't know.
right? You're talking about the
yeah,
actual.
Well, I'm talking about
Realms
Baldur's
Forgotten?
Gate. I'm talking Realms Forgotten. I'm talking like Baldur's Gate, like the set,
Well, there's
right? The
There's
one
two
Eh.
Baldur's Gates,
with
though.
with Zevlor and all of that. Like I
Commander Legends.
That's Commander
Legends.
Legends. Then. That's Commander
Yeah,
Legends.
yeah.
Yeah.
and the commander decks, all of it. I'm just thinking of every card I've seen from D&D, and so far, all of them did what I saw in the movies.
Oh,
or
boy. No,
I know that
no.
D&D fans just like literally like I hate this guy, but that's the only knowledge I know of D&D. I never played, right? So like for me, I liked it. I thought it was a very good secret layer. I thought it hits all the check marks. It has cool art. Maybe not the movie one was kind of weird art wise, maybe because I could actually tell that was Chris Pine, and that was like what weirded me out a little bit. Which is weird because I the duality of a man, right? Because that's not how I feel about Doctor Who. But yeah, like I really like this. I thought D&D is a solid A. I thought it was a solid A. Why is this not an S?
So, because it sucked.
Go ahead. Like, I mean,
it fits perfectly. D&D is like as close to Magic as you can get. Like they're like the siblings essentially. They're both WotC. They're like very very similar. So as far as fit, it's perfect. Power level though, like AFR is a bad set. Just like I'm looking at the card list now, like it's a bad set. Like name me one good card out of that set, Grim.
The creature lands.
Oh, name me one good non-land card out of the set.
Hold on, give me an hour.
Like there's just like there's not much there. Like I'm surprised that they didn't power it up more, considering like how much they push Lord of the Rings. This is their own IP. Like I'm surprised there's not a One Ring level busted card, but it's like a lot of underpowered flavor stuff. There's all the weird like flavor keywords that just add confusion to the card. So it's fine. I like how it fits, but I don't like it as a Magic set.
Are we talking about? Well, actually, I'm gonna just count all the cards that have come out under the umbrella of
Yeah,
D&D,
toss them all in.
Guardian of Faith. How is Guardian of Faith not good? Right? Like we've seen some really good cards. Teleportation Circle. I mean, obviously, like, and then in its life in Standard, you saw Lulf like take over. Like there was a lot of good cards here, and like we literally they introduced dungeons, which we just saw in a recent clash where Richard tried to go infinite, and that was very annoying with it. So we know dungeons can do work.
Yeah, and it broke constructed and got banned in Legacy.
You want to talk about power level?
Like there's so many.
Yeah, like if we're talking about power level, I think it hits, right? Like it. I mean, I'm going to be the first one to admit that I was wrong with my initial impression, right? Like, I thought nothing would get played from this set. I thought everybody would just gloss over everything. I thought Commander Legends Baldur's Gate was poop. Now, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, the top 3 favorite of all Commanders is Zevlor. And he came from that set. Bard class has been a house, right? Like we're looking at some rogue class. I just pretty much is stapled into almost every blue-black deck I play. Minsk and Boo terrorize tons of people. So I don't know. I think the set hit, right? One of your favorite memes is from it. The deck of many things. The thing that loses you every game you play.
Because it's so bad. That's why it's a meme. I will say, I think the standard set was way worse than the commander set. Like, I think AFR, the standard set, is a really low-powered, forgettable set outside of liking D&D. The commander one did have some good cards in it. There's some good stuff that is fun and ended up being powerful or too powerful even in initiative. But I view AFR as a very low-powered standard set.
You can't say that to modern staple Flumph.
You can't say a good video out of that.
I mean, AFR was kind of sus, but CLB is quite powerful.
Wait, you don't. So, Richard, you don't even think it was good in 60 card?
I mean, it's okay. I mean, was it good?
I thought it was pretty good, dude. Right? We got a lot of good cards.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't know. It's not enough for me to put an S tier. I think it's somewhere.
It's not, yeah.
In A, the flavor works obviously because it's rip off Lord of the Rings, and it's kind of the thing. I will say that coming from Baldur's Gate 3, the video game, the set is an immense disappointment. All the face characters from the game, their cards suck. I don't know what the flavor is. Their art is tiny.
Hey,
Like
Yeah.
I really
a random
want
common. I remember this.
I want the
draft chat.
Japanese treatment of like weird pose that you cannot actually do, right? Like popping out of the frame, full card treatment. And I'm like, yes, this is a Shadowheart card, or this is a Lyzal card, or whatever. I'm like, this is like looks like a screen cap or something. They're trying to capture some moment. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I was disappointed trying to pick up cards from my favorite video game, Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, oh, there's a magic set for it. I'm like, these cards suck. I don't want any of them. Okay, done. So I felt that was weird. I thought that was weird,
Yeah.
you know. But then I look at like One Piece TCG. I'm like, you know, that's a nice Luffy or whatever, right? You know, that's a nice Zoro, right? Like
That's a good looking Zoro.
Like I want that card. That represents my favorite character. So I feel Wizards can work on that to like showcase characters rather than I don't know, like they do scenes or something most often, or trying to portray an emotion or something. I don't know what they're trying to do, right? But just give me that weird superhero pose that's uncanny, but like just makes your character look super impressive. That's what I want. But my final decision is A on that, by the way.
Yeah. All right. That's
A.
fine.
I think it's a
thought
solid
high B, low A is
High
where
B.
I'd be. So that's close enough.
I'd say high A.
Whew.
Not high A.
Okay,
Oh.
we're gonna blaze through some. Okay, we gotta do Doctor Who. We gotta do Doctor Who because Doctor Who was a big release, akin
And a
to
big flop.
akin to Warhammer. How do we feel about random British people in our in our multiverse?
Doctor Who is so bad. Like, I know if people who love it, that's great. I'm glad you love it. That's awesome. The more I have seen and played with Doctor Who, and like it's just not a good release for me. It's not a good release for me. Like, it is the worst fitting out of any of the cards. And even if we grant that anything can fit in a multiverse, let's say we grant that, then it's the most boring because it's just people standing around their day-to-day life. Even if it fits, it's not interesting. So I think it's like just it's a flop for me. This is in the D range. Like maybe a C if I'm being generous, but I view this as one of the worst.
Resident Whovian.
What?
Krim. where are we putting this?
Hey, okay, Resident Whovian is a big title. I've only watched like 5 seasons. So, all right.
Look, if you
anywho.
could name the doctors, you're a fan.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Okay. So if we're going by that, then yeah, I'm a fan, right? I wouldn't say I'm prof level, but I'm good at it, right? I like it. I think it's a solid B. This is going to be probably ahead of Transformers. This is probably the highest B, in my opinion. I liked a lot of it. I think my only problem was that there's not enough time related things. There's not enough temporal nonsense. There's not more like split second. I think my issue is that the cards, I wish they functioned more along the axes of like, you know, for Time Lord stuff. I think that some of the Cybermen stuff was really cool. I really like that, like just turning things face down, that removal spell. So for me, I think the card where this falls like the most for me is just honestly the functionality and how some of the cards work versus what I had imagined how they'd work. So I think my expectations were a little too high. But I like the set.
I'll split the difference with you guys. C. There's some strong cards in there, but this had no business being Magic IP. Like, even watching the show, I've watched like 6 or 7 episodes at this point. I'm like, it's so
You
it's
gotta
like,
watch more, dude.
it's like Stranger Things level. You're like, yeah, like if you had to dig deep and make an excuse, you could come up with one, but it didn't feel like it. It's like boomer IP. Like, it's not very up to date. Like, a lot of people. This is like super niche. How about that? Like, the people that love it love it.
It is.
But
very
there are very few of them, and some of these other IPs are much more broad reaching.
Yep.
So it just felt, and just the cards, like maybe the world is okay if they framed it different, but like Seth said, like a lot of the cards are just people sitting around looking like ordinary people. It's like if they made The Office commander decks, right? You're like, I don't know, I'm here for it, but what's going on, right? Just like, I don't know, right?
The Jim Halpert commander deck. Honestly, the farewell with David Tennant, so for flavorfully like solid, that's almost enough for me to be like an A.
Yeah, and then not like playing wise, the set is super confusing. Like imagine if we were on Ikoria and I named the cards Monsters 1, Monsters 2, Monsters 3, Monsters 4, Monsters 5. You're like, it's the 8th Doctor. I'm like, what is that? Right?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's the 10th
Yeah.
Doctor. And even Doctor Who fans don't know. They got to name them by their actors, right? It's like the David Tennant Doctor Who or whatever. So the naming is very confusing for a non-Doctor Who fan because they don't really have names. Okay, we're running late. But we'll hit up Jurassic Park since we just got that, and then we have a bunch of like reskinned secret layers. So Jurassic Park Rex just came out, or just coming out with Lost Caverns of Ixalan. How do we feel about Jurassic Park, the classic '94 movie mixed in with whatever latest Jurassic Park movie it was?
I don't care for this IP. Didn't care for it too much as a kid. Like I always wanted dragons.
Did you study film or something? Shouldn't this movie be up there somewhere? You're like, holy.
I love Steven Spielberg. I love Steven Spielberg. I love, like all of that stuff, but like Jurassic Park never hit. The cards don't seem that good to me either. So the only one I like is the one with Samuel L. Jackson on it. It's a counter spell where they can't cast any more spells. I can't remember the name of it. After it gets countered, it's like a negate that does a little extra, right? I thought that card was really cool. That's my favorite thing outside of it, so I didn't really like it. Permission denied. There it is. I like that one. None of the other cards really did it for me. So for me, this secret layer, this crossover, a C and like low C, I think like every other thing except maybe not Tomb Raider is better than this.
So I have mixed feelings on this. The dinosaurs fit so perfectly in Ixalan that I really like that aspect. The like Indominus Rex Alpha, Incorporator, the perfect hybrid, like all of those are just like so perfect for the set. They really fix the issue that we saw with Brothers War, having random transformers that everyone was like, wait, how does that actually fit? These seem to fit. On the other hand, I don't really like the random actor cards like Ian Malcolm.
Whoa.
Just seeing random
you did not actors just say no about Jeff Goldblum. Hold on, you're not going to do that. We love Jeff Goldblum.
But I love Jeff Goldblum, but I don't know if I want him on my Magic card. Like it's kind of the same thing as
Magic card.
It's kind of the same thing as Doctor Who, where it's like the very super realistic. It's like I don't know if I want a real actor on the card, so I'm kind of in the middle on it. I like the fit in Ixalan, but the actors themselves, I'm kind of like and so maybe it's like B or C, like somewhere in that range, low B, high C.
I'll give it a B as well. It's okay. I see where Seth is coming from. So obviously Jeff Goldblum's iconic for Jurassic Park, but is this like weird civilian thing? Like why are there civilians in the midst of our like fantasy war, essentially, right? Like here is Galta, and then here's Jeff Goldblum. And he's not even on a toilet. What is this, right? But it's weird. Like, I don't know. It kind of breaks the immersion, but you can't have Jurassic Park without. I'm surprised they even got it.
Yeah.
So I think it needs to be there, but it's this weird thing of like civilians and other plot progressors are in the middle of your war, and it kind of just breaks the immersion somehow. But yeah, I think it's just kind of a standard okay release. Nothing too crazy.
The rest of them, dump them all in B, because it probably just depends on your personal feelings, right? Like if you really love the IP, it's gonna be S tier for you. If you hate it, it's gonna be D tier because they're all the same, right? They're just reskin Magic cards. But go ahead, Grim.
I love Evil Dead. That's like
I know. Okay, well,
I know you.
Okay.
I feel they should be dumped in C, not B. You think they should be dumped in B?
Maybe they should be. Maybe they're C's. They're kind of low effort, right? You just reskin, toss some art. We see that with the Lara Croft Tomb Raider. It seems like they can pump these out for days. Like they are kind of low effort.
I love Creepshow. I love Evil Dead. I'm sorry. Those have to be high. Okay. I will say that Evil Dead, I love it so much. Every card fits in every way possible, but there is such a thing as too much flavor. And what I mean by that is Ash is so flavorful that he's actually not playable in an Evil Dead deck, because the Pure Steel Paladin, I can't play him in my Evil Dead deck. He has no synergies other than the fact that he exists, because he has so many weapons. He's great in an artifact deck and in a Voltron deck, but that doesn't play well in my zombie deck. So I will say that was too much flavor, and that would make it so that's why it's not like an A tier. I think it's a solid high B, though. I love Evil Dead.
I actually think the best one here is Creepshow. So I don't care for any of these IPs. I mean, I've never watched Evil Dead or Creepshow. I've watched Princess Bride.
Oh.
But the Creepshow cards are like super unique. They're cool enough that I want them, even without knowing what the heck Creepshow actually is. They're like double face with the comic panels in the back, like getting ready for our Marvel crossover there. So I really like that. And then The other cards are just like magic looking cards with things I don't know about, so I don't really care about. But if you like the IP, then it'd appeal more to you. So, but I think Creepshow gets a nod for the special horror movie poster thing or graphic novel cover that they got going on.
I do like the card style. They just look good. They got the treatment is very nice. And we can leave Evil Dead and B for Crim because he really loves it.
Here, I'm gonna put Creepshow with Evil Dead. So we split them. No one cares about Princess Bride and Dracula.
Evil Dead higher. Yeah.
This looks pretty accurate.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. I'm curious. Let us know what you think. If you're watching this, how do you rank these IPs? What do we get right? What do we get wrong? Does Walking Dead really deserve to be in the B tier? Let us know in the comments. No fish mail this week, but Richard, in the future, someday we might get to fish mail. How do people send that in?
All right, if you want to tell us Universes Beyond sucks and they're all F tier, hit us up at MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on here.
And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 459 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So Richard Crim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit and Magic at Sea for supporting the show. And we'll be back next week to talk about set release for Ixalan and whatever else goes on in the world of Magic. So until then, have a lovely week, everyone. And this is the crew signing out.